And welcome back into another episode of Borderless Sports. I'm probably too close to the mic. Let me fix that up as we go. Welcome in. Another good week of games. Good to be here and good to be with my friend Tom.
Yes, definitely. Thanks for introducing me in, Lachlan.
Anytime. We do have Obi with us, but he's not even joining me on my lap. He's under the couch. We'll see. Maybe he'll get up and join us halfway through.
He only lasted about 3-4 seconds last episode.
I won't hold my breath,
so,
though.
yeah. But we've got a full packed episode here. We've obviously got Week 10 reactions from the NFL today. We'll go into our picks, take a look at Week 11, see what we're liking early, very too early looks, we should really call it. The cricket, we had the decider yesterday, our Sunday, and also the test team was announced for the India match.
Was it? I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
I'm keen for you to run it through me. We'll have our live reaction to the test team.
Oh yeah, amazing.
Sweet.
We'll touch on some EPL. Had some big matchups. Some, kind of set the standings a bit going into international break. And then finally the Pacific Championships, Australia versus Tonga yesterday.
Good game.
Yeah, so we'll go into that, give our reactions, what we thought happened. Your mate had a pretty good game, but we'll get into that.
Game.
We'll get into that. So yeah, do you want to just jump straight into it?
Before we start, I have to address something.
Let's do it.
We've had some controversy.
Controversy?
See, we
There's
can tell
Obi.
the dog's upset. It's all happening. Come join me for this.
Here we go.
So
We've had to make a stand.
We've had some controversy. All right. The first controversy on the channel. It's a big moment.
I think that's when you've made it.
It is. So if
We haven't made it yet, but,
anyone was watching, last ep, we talked about Ben Hunt. And I said that I think Ben Hunt is a better player than Gutherson, that he's got more to offer in the current form, the way they're playing, compared to Gutho, being at his late stage of his career. And a lot of people pushed back on that and said Ben Hunt's older, he's past it as well. Like, people weren't really saying Gutho is in his prime, but they were pushing back on the fact that Ben Hunt's not in his prime.
Yeah.
They were saying that Gutho is a better bloke, he wants to be there. They're saying Ben Hunt doesn't really want to be there. He's watched these games, he's just checked out. A lot of people just, I think, very off on Ben Hunt. I do question how many people watched the full clip, because in the second half of the clip, I literally said that if Ben Hunt doesn't want to be there, it's probably a good decision for the Dragons to let him go and sign someone who wants to be there. But all I would say is for people to, if you don't like Ben Hunt, then that's one thing. But at the end of the day, I think Ben Hunt, even if you don't like him, you have to accept he's probably a top 5, number 7 in the game, in the most important position in the league. And yes, he's been maligned much of his career, really his whole career. I don't think you can make the claim that pure on-field performance in their current physical availability status, that Gutherson provides more on the field than Ben Hunt does. So I welcome the criticism. I welcome the pushback.
Very welcome it.
But I've just got to say that I think people are just looking too much into the personalities and the way they feel about certain players rather than judging what they give you on field. A few people pointed to a couple of bad games that Ben Hunt had, but you can do that with anyone. So anyways, appreciate the pushback, and time will tell this year who plays the better year. My money's on Ben Hunt to have a better year with whatever team he plays with. But Dragons fans seem to be happy with Gutho, so credit to him and best of luck to you, and better strap those knees up, baby.
100%. Great to see the feedback coming in so early in off-season for the NRL. So
you can tell there's a lot of people out there enjoying it. Yeah.
People are going to be feeding for it once it comes around to March period, once we get to the season beginning.
Passion. I mean, I'm sure AFL fans are. I'm not really in those circles, but NRL fans, they I'm one of them, and we love our NRL.
Yeah, I mean, definitely in Melbourne, they live and breathe it. Yeah. They love that shit.
Yeah, I don't know. Australians are we're a sporting nation, full stop.
Yeah.
So we're passionate about NBA, NFL, EPL. So our actual homegrown sports, AFL, NRL, cricket,
second to none, really.
We go all in, and the media. I mean, anyone who lives in Sydney knows the Sydney media, sport-wise, is NRL front to back. It's everywhere. You hear players that come from overseas, or especially like players that come from England to play the NRL, who based for a Sydney team. They say it's unbelievable. They go from England, where NRL, like rugby league, is kind of in the background. It's not one of the most popular sports over there. They come to Sydney, and all of a sudden, it is the front page. It is the number one. You got reporters asking for everything. You got reporters calling you up for things. They say the comparison is stark. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get on to it.
Let's get into it. NFL Week 10 reactions. What a set of games that we had. I reckon we just jumped straight into this Monday night game, Lions vs Texans.
Crazy game.
I don't know how the Lions won that, but an insane second half comeback. Field goal to win it, where in some previous games we didn't see the field goal makers do too well, but we'll get into that. Houston left scoreless in the second half, and both QBs struggling.
Got 5 interceptions.
5. 2 from Stroud, and he was getting sacked.
I think it was the first game, I can't remember exactly when they said, but it was around 1960 that a team's won throwing 5 interceptions.
I mean...
So, wow.
I don't think they should have won that game. And
5 interceptions. And I think, did they have a fumble as well?
Did
Goff have a
yes. No, I don't think Goff had the fumble. It was in play, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, man, it is blatant.
Either way, they had no right to win that game.
It was insane. I'll take credit because I had some bad luck with some bets that we'll get into, and I put one on for the Lions, and
You got it.
the betting gods
They shone down.
got me through. So
Deserved.
I might take that one, but
Positive karma.
But no, for just touching on like these Texans, you know, they got the no Collins. That was a late call. He was meant to be playing, didn't end up strapping up, so that was a massive loss. And they were getting their receivers into the play in the first half of the game pretty well. Tank Dell doesn't end up having much of a big game. It was a lot of these sort of odd one out receivers that were sort of picking up the big yards for Stroud. And they just couldn't establish a run game.
Mixon was getting frustrated.
Yeah, Mixon was getting frustrated. There was some stuff on the sidelines with apparently, like they said, Stroud and Mixon had this sort of like big brother, little brother relationship, and they were sort of just like trying to get each other through this game that it looked like, and just didn't end up paying up in the end. But I think it just comes down to, I mean, these Lions just end up turning it on when they need to late in the game. They have Montgomery and Gibbs in their running game that obviously Houston had nothing on that side, so they were able to find some success there. Goff stops throwing interceptions and starts throwing some decent balls in the play. I will say some of those interceptions, you know, when you're trailing, you're trying to look for the big play, and sometimes he went for it and it just wasn't there. I think there was one where he threw it to Williams that came back this week, and he wasn't even. I don't even think he looked at the ball once to see where it was going. So their secondary just had all the time in the world just to set themselves and pick him off straight away. So yeah, it was just I just thought it was just a weird game, absolute weird game, and we just saw Stroud. He struggled again in the pocket. He got 4 sacks. Like the O-line just can't help him out there. And yeah, Lions end up getting some late drives, getting points, and they get the last kick of the game to win it.
I think for me, it's the Lions were clearly, I think, the better team. The first half, their offense was just left, floundering, and basically, I think it was because the Lions throw that interception on their first drive.
Yeah,
that was definitely not Goff's fault. Wasn't that one? He got hit, and as he was throwing it, the ball got tipped, and then it got
tipped, and then the other player coming in to make the play.
And I think that really, as we know, the Lions are a team that likes to establish the run, establish some physical dominance.
Yeah.
But when they throw that pick on the first play, and then Texans go down and score a touchdown, and all of a sudden they're down. Were they down 10? Or were they down 7?
It was down 10-0.
10-0.
Yeah.
So the thing is, now you're down 10-0. Do you go back to try to establish the run game and just pretend like the game's just starting? Or do you try to throw and get your way out of it? They chose to throw, and we saw what happened, all the picks.
Yeah.
It was just, if that pick doesn't happen and the Lions are just able to build into their offense how they usually would, a lot of run, then get into the play action with Goff. The first half went exactly how the Texans wanted it to, by the Lions deciding not to run, having to throw, and then being able to pressure Goff, make him drop back, which is how you have success against the Lions.
Yeah.
So it was bit of chance of that first interception being able to build the big lead early, and then also the Lions just not being able to make the best out of the situation. But then you saw in the second half, the Texans seemed to get tired. Their offense stalled completely. They had plenty of opportunities to score more points and to drive down, but the Lions defense clearly stepped up. As you said, Goff stopped throwing interceptions, and then they had the last laugh at the end. Messy game. Both teams won't be happy, but Lions showed a lot of ticker and the sort of
fight.
A lot of, as you'd expect from a Dan Campbell team.
Yeah.
And these are the sort of wins that I think put a bit of an exclamation point on your Super Bowl credentials, just showing that you can win in any way. They've shown they can blow teams out, blow good teams out.
Yeah.
They can win close, grueling games, and they can win games like this that are just ugly, that you don't play well. I mean, 5 interceptions and you win. That just shouldn't happen, but it shows, I don't think there's many teams, maybe 3 teams in the league that could do that. And they're one of them. So I think I heard, I don't know if you were watching when they were talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown had a quote saying, when I first joined the Lions, people saying we're terrible, we're horrible. And now 4 years later, here they are, best team in the league, really.
Yeah,
and it's just the turnaround is unbelievable. So for someone like that who joined when they were bad, we remember the Lions were literally the laughing stock.
Yeah.
And now they're winning in every which way. It's an impressive rise.
I mean, his confidence is at an all-time high. Like even last week, coming into that Packers game, he wears a sweatshirt saying "F Packers." Like so, they're all riding the confidence of one of each other, and like they were down 10-0, they get that touchdown with Laporta, and they're celebrating like they're probably just won the game. Like they're at an all-time high in confidence with each other, offensively at least.
Well, winning's contagious.
Yeah, exactly. So
infectious. They're
all loving each other. They're loving the situation that they're in. They're loving Dan as their coach, and they're looking like such a scary team.
Well, that's what we say with the Jets, complete opposite. They're a team that doesn't know how to win at the moment. They're losing in every facet, and it's hard to get out of that rut versus when you have the Lions who are winning in every area. And even in a day where things don't go well, imagine if the Jets are in that situation with the Lions where they're down 10, throwing picks, everything's off. They don't come back. I mean, we saw today. They're no chance to come back. So, credit to the Lions.
Yeah. I reckon let's go straight into that Jets-Cardinals matchup now. We've already touched on it.
I called this. As soon as the Jets won that game last week, I said, fade the Jets this week. Yeah. And guess who didn't do it?
You.
This guy. Oh, man. Everyone was riding so high on that Jets win when they won last week, thinking they're back, they've turned it around, Devontae Adams is good. It's just, things just went really well for them that week. They were able to get the pass rush on the Texans. We saw today that the Texans aren't playing like an excellent team. They were able to pressure CJ Stroud last week and just completely disrupt their offense. And then, to be fair, the Jets' offense played pretty well. But when you watch that game, you realize how many mistakes they made, how many holes in their game they have. And when you verse a buttoned-up team with momentum like the Cardinals are, they exposed them. Yeah. Cardinals didn't even have to run that much. Like, we thought this game would be the Cardinals running down.
Yeah.
Kyler just threw. I think at one stage he'd only made like 3 incompletions.
Yeah. No, we talked about the run game. They still had it there. Obviously, Connor had a great game. And we thought Kyler would scramble a lot because usually Jets have a good like pass rush.
Yeah.
But he only scrambled in the red zone, got 2 rushing touchdowns from it.
Yeah.
I mean, Arizona they could do no wrong really.
I just don't think the Jets are just not good. Just not a good team.
Nah.
Which we'll get into later. But again, what are they? 3.5 point favorites. Like what?
It's unbelievable.
I mean, it's like people have amnesia. The Jets look awful, and then 2 days later, when you think of which bet you're going to make for the following week, oh yeah, the Jets look good.
Yeah,
it's like no, they're not good.
People just don't want to let up on the what was their over and under at games for like 9 before in the preseason, and everyone's done like they're going to go over. They're going to go over.
Everyone's so high on them.
Everyone's still hoping and praying.
How many games do you need to see for your minds to change?
Yeah.
Like, what are we 10 games in? Like they're just not a good team. They're not a happy team. They're imploding. They've already fired their coach. They've already signed the biggest wide receiver that was on the market. They've sold their entire future for this season, and it's imploding. So what do you think it's like in that locker room? They've already said everything they can say to try to turn it around. They've got nothing left. Yeah. It's over. But they're favourites again, and this week I am not going to allow anyone to talk me out of it. I will be betting against the Jets.
Okay, interesting. Now we can get into that one. We can get into that one when we talk about look aheads. Anything else you want to touch on that Jets and Cardinals? Cardinals. Like I said, I need to give them props. I said it last week. I called them inconsistent probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago. As soon as I said that, they've won 3 in a row.
No, it's great. To be fair, everyone, before they'd gone on this run, they hadn't won 2 straight in years.
Yeah.
So there's a reason why people said they were inconsistent. This
Yeah.
is the most consistent they have been in a long time.
And
so,
now Kyler's just showing out, and I mean,
the team
he's
looks happy. The
yeah,
team looks like it's
looks happy.
well
He's
drilled.
got weapons around him, and they just performing so
As we
well
said,
right now.
winning is infectious. Winning,
Yeah.
once you learn how to win, that's when things start to click for you. Your locker room gets happy. It's like a flow-on effect. Like everything just keeps working for you.
Yeah.
And all it takes is one loss though for it to come crashing down. But if they can keep building on this, and we saw today, we'll get into it, but the Niners didn't look incredible, and we thought they'd come in off the bye and look like world beaters. They're still looking like they're in the middle of the pack, which means the Cardinals are well in to
Could win this division,
which they would have been probably,
which is insane.
I don't know the odds, but I'm guessing at the start of the year they probably would have been 4th best. Like
I
last
thought they
odds to
would have
win.
been coming last.
Probably would have been what Niners, Rams, Hawks.
I would say
Cardinals.
so.
That would be what I would think
either
it would be.
Seahawks or Rams flip, depending
possibly.
on what you guys thought. But yeah, that's absolutely wild, and
We like Kyler.
we do. We
They're
like
Kyler
Kyler.
player. So
Yeah.
I'm happy for the Cardinals. I secretly root for them.
100%. One team not infectious with winning, the Cowboys.
Every week we're doing the same thing, aren't we?
I mean, are these guys like one of the worst teams in the NFL right now, or what?
It's just the whole situation is. It's hard to believe, really, because we haven't seen this in years.
No.
We've seen the Cowboys win 12 games 3 years in a row. Like this is, you kind of have to pinch yourself and go, "What am I watching?" This is a team that's 3-7 now,
Yes.
looking like they're now just going to be going for a top 3 pick in the draft.
Pretty much. They've lost Dak, looking like possibly the season, depending on...
Cooper Rush looked awful.
Cooper-
And then you had
Trey Lance.
Trey Lance come in, look awful.
Throws an
They've got-
interception.
Ezekiel Elliott dropped the ball. Like,
Couldn't run the
basically.
ball.
Oh, they
Couldn't run the ball.
I got to give credit to Shannon Sharp here. I was watching. I had his
He would have had a good take.
nightcap on, and he said, "You know what? If I'm the Cowboys, I may as well just punt it on 2nd down." I'm like, you ain't wrong. You can't run it. You can't pass. Their best chance of scoring a touchdown is Micah Parsons getting a strip sack, and off they go.
I mean, he gets, 2 sacks
He
himself?
looked
Like,
great, but their offense has nothing. At home, they get blown out again, and the Eagles weren't that great today.
No, Hurts didn't look that well. Saquon didn't look that well, and they didn't even have to be. They still won by 30 or something?
I thought they'd win by 15, 20, but I thought that would be because Saquon would run for 150 yards. And
He didn't
it would
have
be
to.
a blowout. They didn't need to.
What, did he run for 60?
It was really close in the first half too. It wasn't until the third quarter where the Eagles just started
Running away with it.
But yeah, the Cowboys are absolutely dead in the water. It's kind of. I'm sure Cowboys fans at this point though aren't even worried. They're just like whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like they are so over it now. Well, the way that Packers game was at the playoffs last year where they lost at home, from then it's just been nothing but misery. So I think for them, the sad part is they've signed Dak, they've signed CD, right? If they hadn't signed Dak, ironically, they'd actually be in a pretty good spot because they would have some leeway now to be like, okay, let's pivot.
Yeah.
They can't pivot. They're stuck now. They've signed Dak and CD. They're going to probably have to sign Micah. You can't let him go. He's literally your best player. So those 3 will take a majority of your salary cap. So that's going to be your core moving forward.
Yeah,
And
it's
that
just going to be
core
where they
has
go
been-
from there.
That core has been awful this year. So basically, I think all they're going to be able to do is fire McCarthy, get a new coach in, maybe Belichick, but I don't think Belichick's going to want to work under Jerry Jones.
No.
So
He loves the control, usually.
he's had control his entire coaching career, especially the last 20 years. So I don't know what they do. They don't have much leeway. They're going to have to sign a running back no matter what it takes. Jerry's just going to have to swallow his pride and accept he made a mistake there and sign a running back. Dak's not getting any younger. It's not looking good for the Cowboys. Honestly, it seems like they've missed their window. It seems like the last 3 years was their window to get it done.
And the poor performances in postseason is just really going to cost them now.
In the NFL, your windows are very short. We might be seeing the Niners window end.
Yeah.
If you don't capitalize when it's open, you may not get it again. We're seeing with the Bengals, they made it to a Super Bowl, and now they're T. Higgins might be gone next year. They might not have another chance.
Yeah.
The Bills had a window, but you're seeing Allen is so good that he's keeping their window open.
Yeah.
But Joe Burrow is just not able to do that with the Bengals.
You saw it with us in 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
Like, that was probably our window.
Yep.
And then we
sure was. Well,
get that
Minnesota
PI
miracle.
call
Let's not
in
talk about that.
Minnesota.
But the thing is, I think the reason why the Bills window is a bit more open just quickly is because you got Josh Allen, who is the entire offense, and then you have McDermott, the defensive coach, which controls the defense. So even when they lost players, because the head coach is a defensive guy, the defense is always going to be up to a certain standard. If the Bills' defense was as bad as the Bengals' defense, the Bills would probably be in a similar position as the Bengals. But because the head coach of the Bills is a defensive guy, they're able to have a higher floor than the Bengals' defense.
Yeah.
And then you add Allen as just the ultimate Swiss Army knife on offense, their window will always be open. And we saw today, we'll get into it with our picks, but Allen just did what he needed to do. Didn't play great through picks, but he's that much of a weapon that he can overcome those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And when I was saying before that how many teams could win throwing 5 picks, I would say Bills and Chiefs are probably the only other 2 that could.
Yeah. I mean, let's get into these picks. We had 3 games we were the same on. In one game, there was another game that we were
on
opposites of, and then we had a game each that we looked at ourselves.
But both had winning weeks.
Both had winning weeks.
Yeah, well done. I'll go first because I did come in second this week. So I had Broncos +8. Sure bet. I said this in the early one last week. This was an absolute... For me, this and the Bengals pick was the most... I was on that from the moment last week ended, and I never faltered. I knew they were solid bets, and I mean, the Broncos, as I'm sure you'll get into when you talk about it, but they 100% should have won today. We said on the pod that I thought they were a good under like winning pick, money line pick.
Yeah.
And they should have won. I mean, the Chiefs just miraculously somehow keep the winning streak alive. My other one that we both had that got up was the Steelers, +2. This was a game that basically went exactly how we thought, I would say, or how I thought it would, that Daniels is good enough where he was still able to score points on this Pittsburgh defense. But you saw that the new look, Russell Wilson, got to give him credit, is making the Steelers offense capable of scoring. I reckon if Fields was playing, they don't win this game because they wouldn't have been able to score the 30-plus points.
Yeah.
Or around the 30 points. Whereas I think with Fields, your ceiling is around the 20-point mark. With Wilson, your ceiling's around the 30, 35-point mark.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. So that's why the Steelers are actually looking pretty dangerous because their defense is so competent. I don't think the Commanders lost any fans today. I think they played a really good game. I think Daniels probably exceeded my expectations against that Steelers defense. So basically this was just a number pick, taking the Mike Tomlin as an underdog, taking him against a rookie QB.
And it ends up coming out on top.
On the right side. And the 2 points was massive because even if the Commanders had got that field goal to win the game, it would have been by 2 points. So we were safe on this one either way.
I think that's pretty spot on.
And the other one we had the same was the Niners -5.5, which ended up being -6.5 at the kickoff. I was extremely confident on this one. I thought the Niners coming off a bye, Tampa coming off an overtime loss to the Chiefs, missing all their weapons, McCaffrey back. This was just everything pointing to a Niners 13, 14-point win.
Yeah.
But you've got to give the Buccaneers credit. And Baker, mostly, he just does not quit. He keeps going. He keeps slinging it. He's willing that team along to just being in every game. And it's honestly quite sad for them that they're not more in the playoff race because of their injuries. Because he really deserves to be in the playoff race. Like the way he's playing, he has proven himself to be a bona fide starter in this league. For the Niners, you get the win. It is what it is. But
it's not a pretty win.
Me and many others, I'm sure, expected them to be a lot better than they were. And they still have time to turn it around. As long as they keep getting the wins, that's fine. But they're going to have to pick it up because they are not playing well. As you said, they got red zone struggles. I'm sure McCaffrey's first came back, so they didn't want to overuse him. But they've got plenty of improvement that's needed in order to make a dent in that conference, especially get anywhere near the Lions. The one I had on my own, Saints +3, the most crazy bet of the week for us. I looked at our reaction when I said the Saints +3 on our Saturday show, and man, you could tell how ridiculous it was, but basically went exactly how I thought. Defense played great.
Yeah.
I knew the defense would turn up. We scored all our points basically in the second quarter and then scored basically nothing in the second half, but we managed to hold on. It seems like our coach was very animated, very passionate, and the players seemed to like him and play for him, and I think that was the difference. The defense was inspired.
Had a little bit of help.
But...
Thank you, Co.
Yeah. And you look at the stats, the Falcons' stats, all their players had pretty big games. I mean, Kirk had a pretty good game. Robinson had a good game.
A great game.
Who's the wide receiver?
You talking about Drake?
Yeah, Drake, he had a great game. So if you look at the stats, you'd think, oh man, the Saints lose this. But yeah, hey, credit to him, and I was happy with that win.
New coach theory prevails.
Dead cat bounce is alive and well. And then the final one, which I was on the wrong side of, but was I really on the wrong side of? Was the Colts, which closed to +3. I had them at +4, but it ended at +3. It didn't end up mattering in the end. This was just Joe Flacco costing this one, really. I think the Colts were the right side. It went how I thought, that Taylor would have a massive game. The Bills didn't play well. I thought this would be a letdown spot for the Bills, which it was. I just didn't plan on Flacco throwing 3 interceptions, including a pick 6. And you do that against the Bills, especially Josh Allen, it's curtains. Yeah. So I honestly feel like if Flacco just played a base level, just say don't throw the picks, but it is what it is. Either way, I still think I was on the right side of this one. It's just sometimes when you bet on the worst QB, this is what happens. So that's why, if you're unsure, typically just pick the better QB, because they just make the less mistakes, make the bigger plays. And Flacco, he looked really good last year for the Browns. This year, since he's been playing for the what team?
Colts.
Colts.
Don't worry, I wouldn't remember their name either.
Right. Since he's been playing for the Colts, it just hasn't looked. I mean, if you're Colts, why would you not go back to Richardson? Rookie, give him a chance. Flacco, God. But anyway, 3 and 2 week, I'll take it. That makes me 7-3 across the last 2 weeks. Yep. So that's good so far.
That's a pretty good record.
Look, winning week's a winning week.
Yeah.
I made money on those picks, which was good. Niners cost me a lot of money. If the Niners had covered, that would have been a big payday. But still a winning week. Made profit, and I'm happy with that.
Yes, respectful. Yeah. Respectful. 100%.
Enjoy your victory lap.
I will. Like you said, I'll go like on the back of this, like, so that Bills and Colts matchup. That's the other end that we were different on. So I was on the Bills.
Yeah, that was the difference between my 3 and 2 and your 4 and 1.
Yeah. So as you said, it's not a pretty win. I mean, Josh Allen, he just ends up stepping up in these second halves and willing me to the winning end of the bet. But yeah, you look at Flacco and I want to talk about it when you're talking about Jets and Colts later, but I mean, he's just not looking good. I don't know why they moved away from Richardson. They move away from what was meant to be their future. They got him early for this reason. Out of college, he only had the 1 year, comes in and they've given up on him already. And it's just not a good look. They go to a more veteran quarterback that it's just doesn't look like he's really got it right now.
They thought he'd be safer and just be just a level player. Instead, he's costing.
Yeah, they've got Jonathan Taylor. Like, they knew Bill struggled with the run. Like, I even said it in my thing. I said, Jonathan Taylor, you'll get some yards today.
Yeah,
that's what I was struggling with, and he ends up getting it. They just needed Flacco to be a bit more competent.
Just not make mistakes.
That's all it. Just don't throw the pick sixes. No pick sixes.
They cover if he doesn't throw those picks.
Yeah, so, I mean, like you said, I think it's just a bad beat on your end. I'll take it.
A better QB win right there.
Better QB wins. And then we already touched on these, but yeah, I was on the Steelers plus 2.5. Steelers come from behind again. I think there's probably the 3rd or 4th time this season they've won the game after trailing in the second half. So
they just got
anyone that does those double results on Sportsbet, you are loving these Steelers right now.
The thing is, the Steelers have such a great deep ball that they're able to get chunks of yards and come back. So they're a good team to watch.
I mean, yeah, they're loving the deep ball. With Ross
specialty.
Pickens, he's just an absolute insane player, and they're first place in the division. They've got the Ravens next week. Big
game.
So
we'll talk about that in our early look.
The schedule gets difficult here for them, but they're looking pretty good. I was on Broncos plus 8.5. I had another bet with them with Denver money line. So the field goal at the end.
You're not going to be alone in this.
Is an absolute heartbreaker.
Any Denver money line bettors this week are
absolute heartbreaker. I threw on a underdog same game multi, Denver money line, Patriots money line, and Steelers money line. So Steelers and Commanders were still going once the Denver game ended, but yeah, that was a heartbreaker once Steelers ended up getting up.
That's the kind of loss that you're like, betting loss that you're like, why do I do this?
Yeah,
like you're on the right side. Great bet. You're thinking, oh my goodness, I've just picked the Chiefs loss.
Yeah.
And no.
Nah, so that was a really bad beat. Mahomes didn't even look at his best. Usually he loves that scramble game, prolonging those drives, finding his receivers, and I think that ankle was sort of like showing up a little bit.
But the Broncos doing what they were doing on that last drive, where the Chiefs defense know they needed to stop, just to give Mahomes the ball to win the game.
Probably had the best last drive of his life.
Literally won the game for him.
Insane.
He did exactly what you needed to do.
Did exactly what you had to do.
Against
put them in position and just I mean, give credit to those. I don't know who the player was, but on the Chiefs end on that field goal, they just rushed over the
so
Broncos.
many players around.
So many. I think 3 of them got over one guy.
Yeah, no,
I don't know how that happens.
Bad
but
coverage.
They get a hand to it, and they
Stadium erupted.
stay undefeated.
Stadium erupted.
Absolutely
Tim
insane.
Mahomes running around the field, going bananas.
Oh, he was loving it. Absolutely loving
literally
it.
just won the game from the jaws of defeat.
Oh yeah.
That's sports for you.
Yeah. So there's the So that's 3-0 so far. So the other one was 49ers. We already touched on it. So we thought that was probably one of our locks, and 49ers have some red zone struggles. Baker just stiff arms Bosa. It was just an absolute insane play to prolong that. Like, that was crazy. But we already touched on that. That was just a bad beat. I think 49ers should have smoked him there, even with Buccaneers not having their top receivers, top weapons there to get them points. But, it is what it is. Moody misses those field goals. He's only good in the clutch. Bad beat there. And then the one that I was different on, that I had by myself, was Chargers -75.
Great pick. 7.5. You said 75.
Yeah. Oh, did I? Sorry. I meant to put the point there.
No, great pick.
Yeah, so, it ends up being, well, if you look at the stats, it seems like very 50-50. But the Chargers defense, they were just a difference maker. They got like 7 sacks against Will Levis. He still had a pretty decent game, like completion-wise.
They scored as many as they did the Titans.
Yeah. They did have that last, like, they end up getting 17 points. They got the touchdown in like the last minute. Like, they only had 10, so yeah.
That makes sense.
So they got the touchdown there, but
Chargers looking scary.
Chargers are looking scary. They're looking
like
in
the last few weeks.
I've been on the back of them these past 2 weeks, and I mean, we're going to get into it.
They're so under the radar.
Yeah.
Because no one else is really talking about the Chargers. They're sort of just trudging along because they're not looking explosive. And defense isn't sexy, so people don't really care too much. But at the end of the day, defense, as we know, defense wins championships.
Yeah.
They have an excellent coach. Their QB, I mean, he hasn't been able to do much the last few years.
No.
But I think most people consensus is
getting him to produce.
An excellent QB. He's one of the greatest talents in the league. So, I mean, Chargers are looking good. They're going to be a problem in the playoffs. Any team that comes up against their match one with that defense and that mindset that the coach brings, that's not a good matchup.
Nah. So I mean, we're going to get into it. I reckon. Let's get into some. Well, firstly, so that puts me to 4-1. So now I'm 2-3.
Oh, right.
So I got one back.
You're
so
6
I'm
and 4.
6-4 now. So back to a winning week. So respectable. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, 4-1's excellent.
Lost money on 49ers and the Broncos, but hey, I made it back with the Lions. So let's have a look at some Week 11 early looks. Where do you want to start?
Well, I'll start with any of the early bets I've put on. I really like the Commanders +3.5 against the Eagles.
Okay. Yeah.
Is it Philly? But I think Commanders show today against the Steelers, that was the right spot for the Steelers coming off a bye. Mike Tomlin, everything was going well for them, and they still kept that within a field goal.
Yep.
Eagles today didn't look great. Played a Cowboys team that is dead in the water.
Yeah.
So my thinking on this is that the Eagles are going to be riding high, beating their rivals last week. This is still going to be a big game. I mean, it's for the division win.
Yeah.
But I think this is a little bit of a letdown spot for the Eagles, and I think the Commanders are going to be so fired up and ready for this game. And I think you're just taking the points here, expecting a close game, either way, either side, expecting Jaden Daniels to show out. And I just like having the 3 points extra here.
Yeah, I don't mind that either. I think offense would definitely be there for Commanders. Hopefully the defense can perform a bit better. They have been competent over these past couple of weeks. I mean, I don't know if Lattimore, he might be healthy enough to get his first start for them in the secondary, help out that passing game, be able to stop Brown and Devontae Smith.
I reckon it's going to be a 33-30 game.
Yeah.
I'm thinking points.
Yeah, because they've struggled on the run, so Saquon could be in for a pretty big game.
And then after AJ Brown will have a couple big plays.
Yeah, but I expect it close, so I like the plus side there.
The other one I already touched on before, but again, I'm fading the Jets. Colts +3.5 against the Jets. I'm expecting, hopefully, Flacco, for goodness sake, if he starts, throw no picks, please. If he does it again, shame. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So, I'm in that boat. But I just think the Jets are ready to completely fall apart, ready to capitulate. Jonathan Taylor has the ability here to really put the sword through their heart by just running it on them, just controlling time of possession, frustrating the Jets, making the Jets have to pass and feel their offense feel like they have to score, which means if they don't, it's going to start snowballing. Again, it's just maybe I'm on the wrong side of this one because maybe the Jets are better than me and what my eyeballs say. But ultimately, I said I regret not following my gut and fading the Jets last week. Yeah. So this week, I'm going to go for it. Colts +3.
That's fair. I agree. I think Jonathan Taylor's probably the difference maker in this matchup that I would lean to Colts +3.5, but I don't like betting on two bad QBs.
Yeah.
And they are both bad QBs.
They are. And the other one, I'm interested to see what you think on this one, is Chargers -1.5 against the Bengals. It's an interesting one.
Chargers -1.5?
Yeah, well, that's what I got it at. What is it now?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it's still 1.5, yeah.
I swear I saw Chargers like around the 5 mark. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this was a different matchup, but
had to be. Well, yeah, it's -1.5 at Chargers. Basically, the way I see this game is the Bengals' strength is the Chargers' strength. So what the Bengals do well, which is score points, the Chargers do well, which is defense. So I'm not expecting them to cancel each other out. I think the Bengals will still be able to score some points. But what I could see is Burrow getting smacked. I think we're going to, hopefully Khalil Mack, who's playing in excellent form, is going to be able to get to Burrow, rush him, get to him, disrupt their whole offense, and then we're going to see, I could see the Chargers winning this one like 23-20, 27-23, something like that. Bengals have looked great, but just can't win. Maybe they might be in a bit of a letdown from that loss last week against the Ravens, but they feel like they should have won.
Yeah.
Chargers riding high. Is it maybe a letdown spot for the Chargers? Maybe. But I'm kind of just trying to jump on the bandwagon and start reeking some money from this Chargers that everyone seems to be just not looking at.
That's why they've been helping me these past 2 weeks. And yeah, when I looked at this, it was very interesting. I mean, yeah, they've been so good to me. They're going to get after Burrow. He keeps getting hit, and how many hits can he take before something bad happens? Obviously, you don't want to see that sort of stuff. But Higgins should be back, so he might have some more. He'll have some more firepower on offense to throw to.
How much time is he going to have to throw? Like how much time in the pocket is he going to have?
That's the problem. Like the O-line's not going to be helping him out. He's not going to be given any favors in that regard. So he's going to be looking to get the ball out early because
the Chargers have good coverage though, so that it's not like they're just going to be wide open. It's going to be a tough. I mean, maybe the Bengals' offense, Burrow is going to be good enough to overcome.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's kind of to the point where if he does, fair play. You know what I mean? But yeah, we'll see. And the other one, interested again to see what you think. I feel like you're going to be on the other side of this one. I don't know, maybe.
Okay.
Steelers +3 against the Ravens. Now it's at Pittsburgh, divisional game. This is like all your typical betting trends. Tomlin as a dog, Tomlin at home. Typically, you want to bet on Lamar when it's one of these close favorites. Like, you don't want to bet on Lamar when he's like, an 8-9 point favorite. But when it's this close, I think last week the Ravens stole one against the Bengals. I think they'd probably accept that too. And now they're coming into Pittsburgh, who are flying high.
Yeah.
It's going to be a just incredible atmosphere. It's going to be division really riding on this. I could see this being a close game, come down to the wire. The other alternative for this game is the Ravens come out and punch them in the mouth and go up by 20. Could be game over. If that happens, so be it. But I just think that this has all the markings of a close, gritty game, and I want to take the 3 points with the Steelers.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really 50-50 right now. I can't really pick a side. I'm like, do you want to fade the Steelers now against sort of this offensive powerhouse? Like, we saw Daniels, they didn't get the win, but, he put some good drives together, and Lamar's better than Daniels. And their offense could, really have a bit more success and a bit more consistency in that regard, find a bit more points and sort of hold off there. Can they do it more than 3 points? I don't know. I mean, Ravens are getting more rest.
It is a bit of a trap game, this one. I'm not fully sold on this.
That's what I kind of want to see what happens throughout the week because I think Ravens might be without Hamilton on defense as well, so that will help with Russ in the deep ball game.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's 100% confirmed yet. So I might want to see how that sort of situation pans out before I make any sort of decision on this one. But
I've got a couple.
Tomlin as a dog, it's a good trend to ride.
Sort of one of those betting trends, right? I mean, I've got a couple others, but I don't want to just have all mine. But I looked at the thing this week. There's just a few numbers that just stood out to me that I really like.
Yeah.
I'll go through these ones quickly. Cleveland plus 2.5 at the Saints. It originally opened at 3. It's come down to 2.
Yeah, people have been betting on that Browns.
This to me just seems so obvious. How are the Saints are a 3-point? They didn't look great against the Falcons. We said it's dead cat bounce. That was the perfect spot to bet the Saints. Yeah. If anyone who knows and follows the Saints knows that what's going to happen this week, they're going to lose. Yeah. It's just, for me, the fact that if this was a money, like a pick 'em, I'd still probably be on the Browns. The fact that they're getting 2 points, they're coming off a bye, aren't they?
Coming
the Browns?
off a bye.
They're coming off a bye. Winston revenge game.
Yep.
The Saints aren't a good team, aren't looking good. For me, this screams take the points. So that's where I'm on that. Packers minus 6.5 against the Bears. Again, I think a lot of people might want to take the Bears in this divisional game, take the 6 points. It's at Chicago, but Chicago looks so bad today. They scored 3 points. They look like they're crumbling, similar to the Jets situation.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Similar to the Jets situation where it just seems like everything's going wrong. Packers coming off a bye, might look to really establish themselves here. And then the other one I had was Chiefs. I'm sure you have that one.
You've legit just touched on like all the other ones I was going to bring up. I mean, dude, you want to finish what you're going to say about Bills and Chiefs?
Go on, you go.
I mean, yeah, Chiefs 1.5 point dogs against the Bills side that
kind of
we were just saying probably shouldn't have won that game. Bills have struggled with the run. They don't have Pacheco. Like, Pacheco would have been licking his lips at this matchup, but, Kareem Hunt, he's not bad. Like, he's very good running back still, like backup running back. So, Hunt could be in for a really good game here. But Josh Allen as well, he plays up for this Chiefs matchup. Like, he really comes out and puts the team on his shoulders. So
Chiefs has a better defense, though.
Chiefs have a better defense.
This is a 3-point game.
So it is.
This is going down to the wire, and a team's going to win this on a field goal.
Yeah, so Chiefs getting points.
Get a point. Just hope that it lands on the point. You kind of just... It is kind of just an auto bet. Whenever Mahomes is an underdog, the stats are absurd. You can't just take it. Even though this is the spot where you want to fade the Chiefs, where this is where their loss is going to come.
Yeah.
Bills typically have the wood over the Chiefs in the regular season.
Yeah.
And then obviously the Chiefs beat them in the playoffs. But you just... Long term, if you bet on Mahomes as an underdog, you're going to win money.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just one of those spots.
Yeah. And then just real quickly, like Rory said, Browns and Saints, the Jameis revenge game coming off a bye. I was looking at Browns when I saw it at plus 3.5. I thought that was just absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's such a steal. It's come down already.
And then
I'm probably 1.5, maybe even when you kick off.
And then my mind kicked in and said, Tom, they're both bad quarterbacks. You don't bet on 2 bad quarterbacks.
That's the wrong way.
It's kind of making me want to stay away. And then what was the other one you said? Packers, Chicago. I mean, yeah, Chicago, the bad vibes. Like,
the worst.
I think they're giving up on this coach.
Those fans are out on the coach.
And it's at Chicago. Like, the vibes will be shot.
Like, this could get so ugly. If Packers go down and score a touchdown in their first drive, and the Bears have like a 3-and-out.
Packers coming off rest. I think I really want to hit this Packers minus 6.5.
Yeah, like it?
Yeah.
I reckon it'll go up.
Lower than, I think it will go up.
7.5.
If I can get it before it goes to a touchdown, I think that's probably the way I want to play it. So I kind of like Packers minus 6.5.
See where the pros fall. My gut is they'll be on the Packers just because the Bills are just capitulation. So typically, take the 6 points in a divisional game, team that's desperate. But at the end of the day, all those trends don't overcome a team that's just got nothing going for them.
No, but that's interesting. We're basically looking at the exact same games and having the exact same analysis. So
it's going to be interesting to see how the lines move. It's going to be interesting to see what changes. I mean, we've already had the Browns come down. I think looks like the Colts are about to go from 3 to 2, so it looks like that's trending.
Yeah,
looks like the money's coming in on the Colts on that one. Looks like the Steelers, the money's coming on the Steelers. Looks like that one's going to go down to 2.5 at the moment. Looks like the money's coming because the Steelers $1.83.
Yeah,
so that's trending.
So people getting that field goal.
Yeah, I mean the Niners Seahawks that originally was 7.5. That's already come down to 6.5. I thought 7.5 was too many, so 6.5 makes more sense.
Yeah,
again, that's an interesting game. I don't really know where to fall on that one. Chiefs that again opened at a pick'em. Somehow money must have come in on the Bills, and that's about where we're at. You have the Cowboys, Texans. Cowboys plus 6.5. Looks like that's going to go to plus 7.
Yeah,
I mean Texans aren't a bad bet at that, but you kind of just Cowboys at home again, unbelievable.
Yeah,
That's a primetime game too. Cowboys at home, primetime game.
Unbelievable.
Texans coming off
Is that on the Sunday? Like our Monday?
our Tuesday.
Because that can kind of get swapped, right? Can't they swap it like midweek if it's...
swap the Cowboys game though.
Really?
Sure, nah.
Just even if it's like
The amount of views that's going to get, man.
Cooper Rush and Trey Lance?
They could swap. But no, that's the Tuesday game, so I don't think you can swap.
It's a Tuesday. Yeah. Sorry. I thought you said it was the Monday one.
Primetime Monday night game, Tuesday. That Texans coming for a shocking loss today, looking like they're going to be coming off 2 losses.
Yep.
So they're going to be desperate for a win.
Yep.
But the Cowboys, think of that locker room right now.
They are shot right now.
This was their chance. We said this last week that when Dak lost, this was their chance to have a little bit of a fresh start. But it looked like the exact same. Plus, you had Micah back. You had everything you wanted, apart from Dak being there, and it looked even worse. So, unless they somehow get some miracle during the week, I don't see how that's not a Texans blowout.
No, it's looking like another great slate of games.
It is a
Bills,
great slate
Chiefs, Steelers, Ravens, Chargers, Bengals, Packers, Chicago.
All the primetime games are excellent too. We've got Commanders, Eagles is the Thursday game. So our Friday, Commanders Eagles. That's an excellent game for
Huge.
That's because it's got so many ramifications.
Yeah.
It's gonna be, I haven't watched Jaden Daniels live this year because I think because of the scheduling, no one expected Commanders to be good, so they're always the early slot. That's gonna be an excellent game. As you said, you had the Bengals Chargers. That's gonna be a great game.
Yeah.
Bengals seem to be primetime quite often, but I'm excited to actually watch the Chargers in primetime because I haven't been able to watch them too much. Then, as we said, Texans Cowboys, which might not be a great game, but man, it's going to be interesting and fun to watch because Cowboys are just a circus, really, at the moment. They really are. And then, of course, the big one, the Chiefs Bills. It's always the biggest game of the year, really, I'd say.
Oh, yeah.
8:25.
It lives up to the hype most of the time, so...
And then Ravens Steelers. So at the 5 o'clock, you have Ravens Steelers, divisional grudge match for the lead.
Amazing.
And then you have Hawks Niners, divisional grudge match. And then you have Chiefs Bills, which is a conference grudge match. I mean, it's just an excellent slate of games the whole way through. It's a great week. And we'll break it all down here on Borderless Sports.
How good's that? So that's week 10 and week 11 early looks at the NFL. So let's get into the cricket.
Yeah.
Game 3 decider.
Unbelievable result, to be honest.
Yeah, we lose.
Game 3 looked exactly the same as Game 2.
Yeah.
It really did. I mean, credit to Pakistan. Excellent win. Australia could not get any batting going whatsoever. Batting was
Pakistan
atrocious.
pacemen just absolutely... They look so good.
But the thing is, the Australian batters struggle. And you say, the Pakistan bowlers were great, which they were. But then the Pakistani batters come out and make it look easy.
Issues. Yeah.
So the thing is...
Full team effort.
Exactly. So you want to give the Pakistani bowlers credit. But at the end of the day, the Pakistani batters are showing that the pitch was better than the Australian batters made it look. And that's 2 games in a row where the Australian batters looked like they were playing on foreign. They were playing in India or Pakistan. They looked like they did not know how to bat on that pitch. And I said last week that their advantage was that they knew how to play on the the pitch in Perth.
Yeah.
It looked like the Pakistanis were the home team. I mean, I couldn't believe what I was watching. The wickets just kept falling. The openers, again, couldn't get anything going. And then it just was a snowball from then on. No player was able to stop the tide. Pakistan had all the momentum. It was, huge credit to Pakistan.
Yeah.
The captain, Rizwan, his first series captain, was excellent. Everything worked for them. Their fast bowling attack, which we did say at the beginning of the series was their biggest asset.
Yeah.
But their batting showed up under pressure in these last 2 games. Small chase, but was able to get it done easily.
Yeah.
No sweat at all. So, honestly, it's their first series win in Australia in a very long time. They deserve all the credit. And after beating England in their home test series a month ago, future's looking bright for Pakistan. I'm happy for them.
100%. Yeah, I was just going to say the exact same thing. Those pace bowlers, they really stood out. They used the seam, made the batters go fishing, found the edges.
Lots of edges, didn't they?
Found a lot of edges. Hardy, his wicket, he was in 2 minds, goes to play it, leaves it late, finds the inside edge, still goes all the way to the slips cordon. And then, Short, I would say, was a bit unlucky with his wicket. He just couldn't really connect with the ball well and clear the square leg, and it just goes down straight his throat with the bounce. Yeah, so that one was a little bit forgiving, I would say, but it was just we couldn't really work the pitch situation into our favour at all.
Yep.
Poor fielding as well. From our end.
Zampa dropped catches. Wow. He's had 2 of those in this series.
Yeah.
It was funny. I was watching that live when Zampa dropped that catch, and I literally when the ball's in the air, you know how you just have a feeling? I had a feeling that he was going to drop that catch.
Got the wobbles.
It just... Nothing was working for Australia, and you could tell they knew it. Like, it was one of those things where that you could tell that they didn't think they were going to win that game. They had no... You can tell when when there's a small total to chase, but the team believes. Australia didn't believe, and you could just tell in the field the way it was all happening. So, and the concerning part is as we said when this series started, was a chance for the batters to get some runs under their belt coming into the big test series against India. Yeah. Instead, the batters have been awful, and they put all the pressure on themselves now to score runs in the next. And then there's a T20 series coming up against Pakistan, but that's completely different. You're going to have different players. It's not about staying in the crease. Teams. Completely It's just, it's not even relevant to test matches and one-day matches. The best warm-up for the test match would be the 1 days compared to, excluding another test match.
Yeah.
So the fact that they've, Smith, Labuschagne, Maxwell would be in the test team, but anyone who, Inglis maybe might be in there. The point is that these batters are now going to feel under pressure when this test match starts, and they don't need the pressure. That was their advantage, that India's coming off a loss, that they have the momentum. Well, now that momentum's mostly stopped.
Yeah.
They rested their main 3 fast bowlers in that last game, but you saw in the second game that it didn't matter. The Pakistani batters were still able to hit them around.
Yeah. I reckon let's get into this test team announcement, because it kind of follows on, because we didn't see some of those players not playing game 3. So
I'm not expecting too many changes. Our test team's been pretty static for a while now. So
I'll name the ones that you would know and obviously think are in there. So you got Pat Cummins.
Hold on before you go. So this is the Australian test team lineup.
Australian test team lineup versus India.
All right, let's get into it.
For the Australian Summer Test Series.
What do we got?
Pat Cummins, captain.
Of course, best captain.
Alex Carey, wicketkeeper.
Yeah.
You've got Josh Hazelwood.
Yep.
Travis Head.
Goat.
Usman Khawaja.
Yeah.
Marnus.
Yep.
Nathan Lyon.
Yep, of course.
Mitch Marsh.
Yep.
Steve Smith and Mitchell Starc. And probably the biggest news, firstly I would say you got Scott Boland there. He's the reserve quick.
Yeah.
And then you've got who's looking to be Uzi's opening partner in a Nathan McSweeney.
Wow, that is a big inclusion.
Nathan McSweeney.
So the Australian A, he was probably their best performer in the Australian A for India, and he seems to have got the spot.
Yeah, he got he had 39 in the latest matchup for Australia. He got 39 in that second innings, 88 not out.
So
that kind of sealed it for him.
I don't know. Do you reckon he'll open, or do you reckon Head will open?
No, I think they'll probably have McSweeney open, and Head would be after Smith.
Tell you what, that's a lot of pressure on Sweeney coming into a test summer.
Yeah.
Would this be his test debut?
It would be his test debut.
So test debut, home test series against India.
Yeah.
Bumrah, Shami coming in, facing those first balls bouncing around.
Man,
God, what a day, baptism of fire for that kid. I mean, credit to I'm sure he's up for it, but man, that's
what you live for as a young Australian.
It doesn't get any harder though. I mean, that's crazy for the selectors to put him in like that and not picking someone with a bit more experience behind them.
That's what, you do have the option for Head to go opener.
You kind of want Head to be a bit later in the order.
Yeah, like if you there was we had the experiment of Smith opening that didn't really pan out well, so he goes back to normal after Marnus.
Khawaja,
McSweeney, and
Smith,
then you have
Labuschagne,
then Smith, I would say.
Yeah, Labuschagne, Smith, Head, Marsh, Carey, and then you'll have Cummins, Starc, Hazelwood, Lyon.
All those kind
pretty static.
Yeah,
and then Boland as there. Hot take. I love Boland, and that match in the MCG was.
He always shows up at the G.
But Michael Nessa, what does he have to do? He played well in the Australian A. He is a more than competent batter. He's really good with the bat. He's shown that in the Big Bash. He's shown that overseas. He's an excellent bowler. He's got a lot of pace. He can swing the ball. He can have some good seam movement. Boland is 35. Nessa has been around for a long time, waiting for his moment. The fact that he's not even the reserve, I would love to see him in there.
He's suffering from that left hamstring injury though.
Is he out though? Because he played a few weeks.
I think he was. I think. But after that matchup, he's been diagnosed with this left hamstring. So I think that's.
Well, I hope that's what it is, and he's not just been over.
I'm pretty sure.
Last season, it was Boland.
This announcement is only for the first test as well.
Okay.
So it could,
That makes sense.
That could change later.
My point still stands, though.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
hope that
I know what you're
Nessa
saying.
gets an opportunity. And when one of those quicks go down or they need a rest, if Nessa's fit, that we pick Michael Nessa, because I think he's shown that should be next in line. And I said, you can't underestimate how good he is with the bat.
Yeah.
He is a...
It's like a Stark.
Do you want to say all-rounder? I would say he's better with the bat than Stark.
Mm.
And a lot of people think Stark's pretty good. And Cummins is turned out to probably be better than Stark with the bat too. But I would even say Nessa's better than Cummins. I would say Nessa is just on the fringes of being considered an all-rounder. So I would love to see him in there. He's got a lot of passion, a lot of pace.
Yeah.
He can bowl plenty of overs. And as I said, Boland's getting to the twilight of his career, and he's already had his moment. And it's not as if he's going to be a long-term solution. And Nessa's getting on in age too, because he hasn't been able to break through with the main 3 fast bowlers we've had.
Yeah.
But I'd still love to see him get a chance.
Yeah. And then I'll just lastly touch, so to make it the 13-player squad, is the addition of possible debut of Josh Ingles.
Josh Inglis?
Inglis, sorry.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, I think he was captain for that third ODI.
He was captain for the third ODI.
So that shows that maybe they're watching our pod and listening to our TikTok. They're me saying that English is the future of our...
Yeah.
He didn't have a great series, but...
No. So, yeah, they throw in a 13-man that's a, batting specialist and wicketkeeper as well. So...
When we posted the clip of what I said about Inglis, and one of the first comments was, what about Carey? And I understand. Carey seems like a great guy. He's been there for a while.
Yeah.
He was in the test team. We won the test championship. He's been there for the big moments. The thing I would say, though, is I think, objectively speaking, Inglis is a better batter than Carey. I think Carey is quite good at getting like 30 or 40, but isn't very good at going on with it. I would just say that Inglis is probably like a level above Carey. I'm not good enough at analysing wicket keeping to know who's a better wicket keeper.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what I'm looking at, but both of them seem more than competent, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't know what age Carey is. He still seems pretty young. Probably a bit older than Inglis, though. Maybe we can bring that up and have a look, but...
33.
I think it's 33. And what's Inglis? Josh Inglis?
He would be younger, wouldn't he? 29.
29. So they're 4-year age gap. So maybe, it's probably just in there. I don't know how long. Cricket players seem to be able to play pretty old these days, but wicketkeeper is obviously pretty tough on your legs.
He's done a great job. Obviously, we went through that period after
Tim Payne.
Haddon and Payne, where we had Wade in there for some series as well. So he was like a good stabilizer after that.
I think he's been
Payne Wade era.
He's been good though. Like he hasn't been a detriment to the team. He just hasn't. Whenever he's had a chance to really stamp his authority on it with the bat, he hasn't been able to do it. He's had a couple good scores, but he's never really put his hand up and said, "Yes, I'm the keeper."
Yeah,
keeper batter. Whereas I think Inglis has got more of a capability to be like a Gilchrist, where he can really score some big runs with the bat.
Yeah.
But either way, I think either or through this series will be fine. Maybe it might be a bit too much for Inglis to be put in against India, but apparently they think McSweeney's up for it. I mean, man, I can't believe that. What a test that's going to be.
Yeah, huge selection there. So he beats out some of the other people like a Constance from New South Wales. He was like a young gun that people were calling up.
Marcus Harris is always around thereabouts.
He's
I think
always
the fans wouldn't have accepted that.
Nah.
He's kind of just not a fan favourite, is he?
Nah, it's it's good to see fresh legs coming in. You want to make sure that we're very known for our test team and putting in good performances, always being sort of up towards that top 2, top 3.
All I'll say though about that though is we've seen that players who have a bad start to their test career can be very difficult to turn it around. So they really are risking, if they really believe this guy's the future, they are putting it a bit of a risk by putting him in here and risking him getting out early,
especially in a big India.
And India's going to be with the new ball. Is there any better attack with the new ball? Bumrah is probably the best bowler in the world. You're going to have to face him with the new ball on tracks that's bouncing. Like this is where Bumrah shines the most, these sort of tracks. So it's going to be difficult from ball one for McSweeney. And I just hope that his confidence doesn't get shattered through this series and then he's never able to find it again. And this is it for him.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's on him. See what he can do. At the end of the day, he's got the opportunity. And if he does the opposite and he comes out and scores 100 and solidifies himself, well, there you go, right? The opportunity is going to bring with it plenty of opportunity. But we'll see. It could go either way.
Yeah. But I can't wait for Australian summer. I mean, it's already here, but test.
The test is the test.
Yeah.
I said, anyone who tries to get rid of the test match, I hate to say it, but you're not a real cricket fan.
Yeah.
T20's fun. It's great to watch with the family. It's a bit more accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, test cricket is cricket. for me, in many ways. Like I believe Test cricket is the real test of cricket. I know it's not as marketable as the shorter formats of the game because it's hard to keep people's attention span for that long. But at the end of the day, to win a Test match, not to draw it, but to win a Test match, you have to be good in every facet. You have to have the concentration to last in the field for a long time. Take your moments. It's a team performance, bowling, batting. It really is, for me, like one of the ultimate sports, Test match cricket. I love watching it. I think, I feel like the people that really enjoy it respect how hard it is and what goes into winning a Test match.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be a great summer.
Can't wait. I mean, let's move into the next.
Before we go, there was something I wanted to touch on back in the NFL, real quick.
Yeah.
Could be a bit of a clip. I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
If you had to pick right now between Drake May or Caleb Williams, who are you taking to be your future QB? Obviously, today we've just had the Patriots
just had the matchup
beat the Bears,
where Drake May comes out on top. He's got a big arm.
He does.
Like, Drake's got a big arm.
Good with his legs.
Confident. I mean, but
how much weight do you put onto the dysfunction of the Bears franchise?
Yeah, like do you?
The problem is that the Patriots don't have they've got a new coach.
They're basically going through the same thing.
He's looking better than Caleb is at the moment, though.
Both have, struggling with their offensive lines, really. Like, they're not really giving them a lot of help in that regard.
Overcome their situation, and Drake is showing that he's so far been a bit better.
I enjoyed. I don't dabble a lot in college, but when they were going through like the draft period, seeing like the highlights from Caleb.
Yeah, he was an excellent college QB.
Yeah, but obviously, can that transition into what you need as an NFL
interesting
QB?
Discussion either way, and the fact that it's even a discussion, I think is no one would have predicted this, and I think Patriots fans are pinching themselves.
Well, what about if you threw Bo Nixon there? Would you rather Bo Nixon over the both of them?
Oh, see, again, that's tough. But the thing is that those three are now like neck and neck. You've got Jaden Daniels, who's ascended past them. Yeah. He's established, and now you have Caleb, who's number one pick. It's just a difficult situation. You just don't know where. The Bears have a good defense.
Yeah.
Plenty of weapons. I mean, Caleb Williams has far better weapons than Bo Nix and Drake May does. So
we haven't seen a lot of number one picks really stand out recently.
It's tough because, again, what looks good in college is not always what looks good in the NFL. Anyways, I just wanted to add that in there. Just I thought, it's an interesting discussion.
I don't know. I really don't know. Who would you choose though? I'm interested.
I haven't watched enough Drake May. I haven't watched enough.
Yeah,
I've just been
that's
more
the problem.
The
I haven't seen any Pats.
But Caleb Williams has, take away the coaching situation, I think offensive coordinator is obviously it's the most important. And if, from all accounts, the Bears have a shocking offensive coordinator. But in saying that, the Bears have more weapons. They have probably the better defense than the Patriots. Maybe, that's up for debate, but they have good defense.
Yeah.
Who's Drake May throwing to? I mean, he's got a rookie head coach who's a defensive coach. He's come into a team that everyone expected to come last. The Bears were expected to at least challenge for a playoff spot. And yet he's just absolutely blasted Caleb today in terms of performance. So it's an interesting debate. And you've got Bo Nix, who's under Sean Payton, better system, good defense. Not great weapons, but competent weapons. So yeah, it's honestly interesting. I'd say right now Caleb is looking like number 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's not looking good.
But yeah, back to the regular schedule program.
Back to the schedule. EPL.
Yeah.
Do you want to touch on your Man City?
Look, I've been very not out on Man City this year, but I've been saying to anyone who will listen that Man City are not going to be as good this year as they have been previously. Missing Rodri. People who don't watch Man City or haven't been following them, who just see their results and they won again, don't realise how important Rodri is to Man City.
Yeah.
He is our rock.
You're saying it.
He is the reason why we were so consistent for that long. He is, in my opinion, the best midfielder in the world. And I don't think it's close. And the fact that we've lost him for the whole season is massive. Kovacic is a good player, but he is levels below what Rodri is. So as a result, City is struggling to not concede against these teams. I mean, to be fair, Brighton's a good team. But City in general right now, I don't think is good enough to just dispatch teams with ease like they usually do.
Yeah.
So for Liverpool and Arsenal, Arsenal, man, they're going to be pinched saying, wow, this is the year we could have done it. And instead, they've been dropping points and having their worst season in the last few years. And then Liverpool, the door's just been open for them to exceed everyone's expectations. I I'm a believer in Liverpool just because of how many good players they have. Their new coach was obviously the wild card, but he's shown out to be excellent, just as competent as Klopp.
Yeah.
So it's still early, but so far so good.
Yeah.
So for Liverpool right now, everything's looking great. Obviously, the matchup against City will be a big one.
Yeah.
It's different for City when you're versing a big team like Liverpool versus when you're versing a team you're expected to beat.
100%.
But nonetheless, this season's turning out as I thought it would, where City would not get to 90 points, leave the door open, and if Arsenal or Liverpool are good enough to walk through it, then the title's there to be won. So we'll see, but early signs are Liverpool's the one who's going to challenge.
It is. It's looking pretty good. Obviously, we're talking about this after a match week where Man City dropped points to Brighton, and Liverpool beat Aston Villa 2-0. We see Chelsea and Arsenal draw, so probably the best result for both of our teams, with both of them being third and fourth. So we sort of increase our point differential on the standings. Obviously, Liverpool now 5 points clear, and I mean, I'm a Liverpool fan for people that don't know, but it's been really good watching these guys. It's a lot of people have really like. The question mark was Arne Slot, like the new coaching, but people are forgetting there's not really any difference between last year and this year. Like he's inherited Klopp's team.
Van Dijk, Salah.
Yeah, it's the exact same. They're playing a little bit more faster. You can see they're making a lot more of those key passes, a little bit quicker than what they usually do, rather than a slow build up. They love the wing play. I mean, Salah and Diaz.
Why wouldn't you have some of the best wingers in the
They
league?
are absolutely killing it. Usually, like, we've been probably the victim of a lot of inconsistency with forwards, like more as like that false nine when we had Firmino and stuff like that. But Jota, he was scoring goals at the start of the season. Gakpo, he's been coming in. Usually he plays either on top or on the left. He's been finding goals, especially in the other English competitions. Salah, he's got 10 goals and 10 assists across all the different competitions, which is, I think, is the first player to do it across the top 5 leagues, to have double digits in both of those. Yeah, so the forwards have been showing out. Midfield, they've been doing their job. Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, McAllister. Endo usually comes in towards the end to give him some rest. Who else am I missing? Curtis Jones. I mean, he's proving to be like a young up-and-comer. Like, I say up-and-coming, but he's been around for years, really. Like, and he's still so young. So, I mean, and I haven't even touched on the defense. You got Virgil and Kanate, who probably had the best game of the season against Aston Villa today. Not today, yesterday morning. But yeah, they're just going from strength to strength. And you look at it, Salah's having some contract issues. They haven't re-signed him yet. So what happens there? And he's showing out, like, so he's showing his name to the world right now, being like, I'm here. I've still got it. Like, who wants to come with a contract? Liverpool. He probably just wants Liverpool to re-sign him. He's probably not even looking at any other teams, but,
You'd be silly not to.
You'll be silly not to.
Maybe it's just a year thing. Maybe Salah wants 4 or 5 years, whereas Liverpool only wants like 2 or 3.
Yeah. So he's getting to that age where you sort of look at the length of the contract and you're like, what's a good length of time that you're not,
he's been there for so long.
Not detributing your future, but also...
I get it, but just sign him.
Yeah.
He's one of the greatest wingers of all time, one of your greatest players of all time.
I love this guy. Yeah. Absolutely love this guy.
He's still, as you said, he's still one of the best wingers in the world.
Yeah, he's been getting all these golden boots, obviously, until Haaland comes in. Haaland's been sort of that top goal scorer in the league. That's
there to be taken this year.
Been winning it, yeah. So,
my biggest question marks for Liverpool this year was, one, their midfield. Would their midfield be able to step up? And they showed they have. And 2, defensive injuries. If Van Dijk gets injured, you're done. Right?
Yeah.
So
and we saw that like 2 or 3 seasons ago.
So your forwards, I said, you have so much depth, so many weapons in the offense. I wasn't worried about that. It was, can your midfield hold up?
Yeah.
And now that Rodri's out and such, and Arsenal's been having some problems in their midfield, it's looking a bit better. And your players have played well. And then I said, your defensive depth, if you get some injuries there, you're in trouble. Because you've had basically the same defense for a long time.
Talking about injuries, where Trent, comes off early against Aston Villa, possibly a hamstring.
Ooh,
so
bloody hamstrings.
He could miss some time. Thankfully, it's at a time where we're going into international break. But straight after that international break, we've got I think it's Southampton as the Premier League matchup, and then we go into a Champions League matchup at home with Real Madrid.
Yep.
They've been looking too good recently, but they're going to be looking to get some points back, especially in this new Champions League format, try and get back up in the standings. And then, a couple of days later, I think 5 days later, we verse you guys.
My dad will be back for that. If it's a hamstring injury, not just a twinge, but a strain, it's at least 4 weeks.
That's right. It was only yesterday, so I'm not really quite sure on the severity of it. But yeah, and Allison's been out, but Kelleher, he's been keeping clean sheets.
Yeah, he's looked good.
Yeah, so
things are looking good for Liverpool.
Things are looking good. Things are looking good.
It's still very early. You've got to get through the December period, right, where games
and you
come
can
at you thick and fast.
never count out a Man City comeback.
No.
So,
as I said, typically we have a down patch over Christmas, and then come January, February, we go on a run where we don't drop any points.
Yeah.
I said, without Rodri, I don't think we're going to do that, which is why I thought we wouldn't get to the 90 points this year.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a matter of can Liverpool sustain it too, because all it takes is a few losses, open the door back up, and then fight's back on. So it's going to be. I don't think it's over yet, but
definitely not.
First early points, definitely to Liverpool.
Yeah. And I reckon let's wrap it up with the Pacific Championships.
Yeah.
That happened over the weekend.
It was a great game. Tonga came out. I knew a lot of people thought that Australia would smash Tonga, but I thought Tonga would come out inspired, passionate.
Great atmosphere. Oh. It was a sea of red.
Basically, it was a Tongan home game.
Looks like it.
It was but to be fair, they came out strong. The Tonga was running over the advantage line every time they had the ball. They were tackling harder, running harder than the Australians were. And they were able to get points. They were able to turn that into points, which was their problem the first time they played Australia. They weren't able to score. They played well, but weren't able to score. This time, they scored the points early. The thing was, Australia just proved how fit they are. And as soon as you give them an opportunity, they've got so much strike that they just take advantage. So at the end of the first half, where Tonga dropped the ball and kept making mistakes, they left the door open for Australia. They walked straight through.
Yeah.
And then Australia started well in the second half, but then faded around the 60-minute mark and opened the door back for Tonga. Yep. They just weren't able to capitalise on the opportunities, the good ball they had. So as a result, Australia was just able to hold on. And man of the match performance to Cowboys captain Tom Dearden. Yep. Excellent performance. His best
3 try assists, wasn't it?
Yeah, his best game in a Kangaroos jersey. He looked like the best player on the park. Great for his confidence. He's done it at Origin level now. He's done it at the international level now. Couldn't be prouder or happier to have him signed him up as our long-term captain and number 6. And he's probably just going to go strength to strength this year, hopefully, and have a big year for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And for the Kangaroos, redemption from last year, played well. Team seemed like it bought into Meninga. A few new additions, but they all seem to work out. So much strike. I mean, that's the difference between the Australian team and all these other teams, like the Kiwis and Tonga have great forward packs, but they just don't have the backline talent that Australia does. When you have a backline of Edwards, Hammer, Travojevic, Coates, Lomax, and Moses. You're missing Cleary in there, but Moses, you're not really missing any. He's got a great kicking game.
Yeah.
You could put Tedesco in at the back as well. It's just the amount of. And then Harry Grant is number 9.
So much options.
Yeah, so many options. It's where do you stop him? So, yeah, it was good. It was a good match to watch. Tonga made it an interesting game. Just didn't have the offense to take advantage of the opportunities they had in good ball positions. But it was a good post-international. I don't know what you want to call it, but a bit controversial whether we should be having these international games after the season. How many games is too much for these players, but obviously the broadcasters and everything's going to want to play them because you've seen that how passionate the fans are. I'm sure we've got plenty of viewership because people have just been frothing over getting some rugby league back on their screens.
Yeah.
So obviously for everyone but the players, it's great. It'll be interesting to see how these players back up for their teams early in the year. Like maybe they're a bit slower. They will probably have time off and come back a bit later. They won't have as much of a preseason.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how the rep players go at the start of the year. But it's in every sport now, it's the conversation of economics versus player health.
What's the alternative? They just play during the season?
Play during the season.
Have international breaks, sort of like an EPL?
Yeah, they've tried that. It just doesn't really work too much because you have players getting injured during the season. It's not fair on the teams. Like the New Zealand team would have a lot of players in the Kiwi team. It's just not fair.
Yeah.
And I don't even like having Origin during the season because at the end of the day, the rugby league, the NRL competition should have as much integrity as any other competition in the world. EPL is different. Think of how many those soccer players that are playing in every league apart from it. But that's just because that's the way. The reason why that's happened is because from 100 years, the Premier League teams have been playing in the FA Cup, have been playing in these things. So it's already, the precedent has already been set. Just like in rugby league, the precedent of playing during the season's already been set. But because rugby league is so physical, soccer is an endurance sport, whereas rugby league is an endurance plus just physical sport. You get injuries, you get contact. It takes a heavy load on the body. So having these, and Origin games are the most fast, brutal games of the entire year. So to have them nestled into the season, it takes away from the integrity of the actual competition. But again, as we said, economics first, player health and safety. Economics seems to always win out because the economic incentives, the players get paid to play the Origin. I think it's like 50k or something a game, which is it's tough to turn down. I don't know if it's that much, but either way, it's a significant amount to play these Origin games. The broadcasters make a mozza on the Origin games, so everything does. So, and I'm sure they made a lot of money on these international games as well.
Yeah.
So
the next time we see these teams is in the World Cup, right? In a couple of years.
The international.
Yeah,
I think they're going to try and have international games after every season.
Okay.
I think this is they want this format to be the norm.
So, like main tournament wise, though, would be the World Cup.
Yeah, I would say so. But I mean, this is considered a tournament, Pacific Championship, right?
Yeah.
Right now, the international game is in a bit of flux. They're trying to figure out where to place it, how to structure it. Like you had England and Papua New Guinea and such over in, or maybe it was Samoa over in England, and you had Tonga, New Zealand, Australia, and Papua New Guinea, I think, out here. So they're really just in the infant stage of trying to figure out the best way to do all this. And because England and Australia, opposite side of the world, it's difficult for the teams to fly over at the end of the year, and so there's no easy way to do it. And because rugby league is such a physical sport, it's more taxing than any other sport when you try to do all these extra games. You're already having 26 games a year plus Origin plus finals, and the best players are the ones playing all those games. The best players are typically playing the finals. Best players are typically playing the Origins and then playing the rep games. So someone like Isaiah Yeo, who's in the Blues team, in the Penrith team that made the grand final, played for Australia. I mean, he's playing so many games, extra wear and tear on his body compared to, no offense, a Tigers player who's not playing finals, not playing Origin.
Yeah.
It's stark. But then the flip side is, well, if your team has got players that are playing Origin and for Australia, well, you get the benefits of their performance like the Penrith do. So it's a conversation that's still in its infancy, and we'll see how it develops. But I think the economic influence and just the overall underground passion for these Pacific nations to get these games going, as we saw, Parramatta was basically taken over by Tonga. I drove home from picking Sapphire from school today and saw cars with Tongan flags on them.
Yeah.
So people are really passionate about it, and it's good, and it's good for the
it.
game, and it's good to watch as well.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't complain being able to see it during off-season. Some NRL, got the fix. So
Exactly. I think next stop, though, for NRL will be Las Vegas. That'll be the next game.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was pretty successful the first year around, so...
Yeah, well, this was second last year, so this is the third.
It was the second time last year?
Yeah.
I must be missing a year.
The first year was a Roosters-Rabbits game.
Yeah.
And then last year, it was... who was there last year?
There was
Sharks
a double
were there
header.
last year. The Warriors. I'm pretty sure last year was the second year.
Right.
Could be wrong, but...
I might have missed it. I have no idea.
It's either the second or third year. I'm pretty sure, though, it's the third year of Vegas.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I've got for the agenda. So I reckon let's wrap it up.
That was good.
Yeah.
Good ep. Successful tips on the NFL. Some good games coming up this week. Plenty to look forward to talk about. Disappointing for Australia in the cricket.
Yep.
But still, the big dance is still ahead with the Test series against India. So we'll take a series loss against Pakistan in the ODIs if it means a series win against India.
Quick look at the EPL, at how it's standing out right now.
Good.
Liverpool looking good.
City still treading water.
Yeah.
And then a final look at the International Rugby League game. So, it's been good. Hopefully another good week of sports. I'm sure some good NBA games throughout the week.
Yep.
The Thursday night game, which will be done before we see you again, which will be the Commanders-Eagles. Who's your tip for that? On the spot, who's it going to be?
I'll go Commanders.
Commanders. For the win or to cover?
Both.
Wow. Hot tip here from Tom.
Yeah.
I love the Commanders +3. I don't know about the win, but I mean...
I'll back Jaden Daniels to have a big game.
I'm going to go Eagles win by 3 points on a late field goal to win it.
Okay, so you're saying Eagles win and Commanders cover.
Yeah, I like the Commanders +3. I'll be in that with the same game prop, and I'm sure I'll be here on Saturday saying my prop lost by one leg or some ridiculous thing that happened.
I'm just going to go all in on the Commanders.
Yeah,
let me ride it.
Money line, just go in. Yeah, why not?
Jaden Daniels +250 yards.
Woo!
And over 1.5 touchdowns.
All right, you heard it here first.
Yeah.
If you want to ride with Tom, you jump on.
Don't do it because the one leg hits have been really bad this season. So please bet with caution.
Maybe that Broncos loss was like the final nail. That's like now.
Surely that's like the low of the low.
That was like
right?
the pendulum hitting the ultimate apex, and
you can't get any lower than that.
Swinging back.
Can't get any lower than that.
You literally can't get any worse.
So
a missed field goal on a triple underdog multi. That was not even a round robin. It was just a straight up 3-leg underdog multi. And to lose on a field goal, that was nearly an automatic field goal on a blocked PAT. I mean, it's awful.
It's I'm starting to relive the bad mood that I was in this morning. So I reckon we should wrap this up.
Let's get it out of here.
We appreciate you guys watching. So yeah, thank you, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Peace.